This is about holding yourself accountable to master your craft. And I know I've sprinkled this throughout some of my videos, and I thought that I should do just one video on holding yourself accountable. The first thing I would tell you to do is when you hold yourself accountable to military bearing. We hear it all the time. I understand it's not defined anywhere in regulations that I've read before. You know, it's more implied about military bearing. And when we think about military bearing, we think of no smiling, no laughing, being serious, and maintaining that professional look. And we tell trainees like to not do it all the time. But what about you? Do you laugh and smile around your flights, but you expect them to not? What I would ask you to do is lead by example. You know, lock it in. Now, there are going to be certain times where it would be appropriate, like sometimes facilitation. I try to maintain my military bearing as much as possible so that I can say, hey, do I do that? Hey, when they get going laugh, does that look professional? No, it doesn't. So I want you to be better than me. I want you to hold your military bearing better than me. And that's one of the reasons why I don't smile or laugh around my flight when they're seeing me. Behind closed doors, I'll do that, but not in front of my flight. So hold yourself accountable to what you tell them about military bearing. PT standards. Looking good. I would encourage you also to look your best. I understand that life happens and sometimes we lose focus on our bodies. And what I would encourage you to do is that when you're working out with your flight, struggle with your flight. They need to see you struggling. They need to see you battling, because it's going to make you better. Once the flight understands how to do everything, work out with them. It's going to help you in the long run anyway. Achieve your goals. So if you're weak in push-ups, be vulnerable and just try your best. Try your absolute best. Even if you have to do partial repetitions or whatever like that. You know, and if you can't do it right, for push-ups, stay in the up position, in the plank position, until you get stronger. Sit-ups, the run. Don't just stand around the clock. I know that there are people that need to be by the clock when they're running, but what I would ask you to do is run with your flight. Encourage your flight. If you're not a fast runner, be on the inside. If you're a great runner, run on the outside. You know, sometimes what I do is when I'm running, and I'm not the best runner in the world, but I am competitive. I like to make myself better, and that's all about talking trash. I'll say, passing another blue belt. I'm passing another blue belt. And if I'm running in the yellow lane, I say, hey, yellow belt, let's see how many blue belts we can pass. Yeah, sure, we're in the inside lane. But these are blue belts. They're running like 2 minutes faster. So we should be really passing them. So I'll be like, come on, yellow belts, let's pass some blue belts. You know, and we're running together and we're working hard, and they look forward to that. So, and then when you do it enough and you're on that morning shift with PT or that evening shift in PT, they look for you because you're their motivation. And remember, this is servant leadership. This is transformational leadership. Just make it better for them. So if they're working out, work out. I know it sucks. I know that, you may not feel like it, but they need to see it. That's what it's needed. It's not about feel, it's what they need, and they need to see you killing it. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. And you know if you look good in those blues. If you need to look better, let's go. Let's go. Providing time to teach yourself classes. At least go from like the prelims to the first whole impression, because that stuff right there is impromptu, or it's not written down anywhere. It's something that you have to kind of already worked out in your mind. You can't just read it like you're doing a dorm class or a lecture. And it's going to help you be able to transition smoothly and get better and better. So if you get nervous when you teach, what I would ask you to do is use that excitability to really bring out your excitement of the class. So when you are evaluated, it seems like, wow, he really likes teaching. And it goes a long way. When you're evaluating somebody and they're excited about teaching it, it makes me wake up as an evaluator, because sometimes, man, I'd be like, ooh, this is going to be a long class. But if you're excited, it makes it worth listening to. And remember, when you evaluate, you learn a lot to what people are, and you're grabbing all that good stuff. You're like, I'm going to add that to my class. Man, that was a great transition. Wow, I never heard that type of prelim before. Woo, woo, woo. It's great. So what I would ask you to do is just, teach to yourself. And then maybe go through the instructions on one class. Just one. When they're in class all day, that should be class teaching time. Just you, yourself, and you. So that's all I'm asking you to do. Make time for yourself. Let people hear you teach. Like, are you teaching a class? No, I'm teaching to myself. I want to be good. And then if you say you do fail a class one day in the future, they could be like, hey, at least you practice. Hey, I know you're trying. Hey, I want to listen to one of your classes. Hey, this is what I heard that you're struggling with. People are going to know that you care because they hear it. It echoes. So let people hear you teach to yourself. Man, it's great when I was a section chief sorry, it's not section. Yeah, section chief. That's it. I was about to say instructor supervisor or section supervisor. I go up and I'm hearing somebody, music in my ears because I know they care. All right. The way you are in a dining facility goes a long way to your overall impression of your flight. What I would do to make yourself better and holding yourself accountable to the regulations is to read like 1-2 paragraphs, in 36.3. Just open it up and just read it as you eat, if you eat, or hydrate. And you might read something you never knew before. Like, read something that you're not comfortable with. Like, maybe it's heat stress prevention. Or maybe it's chapter 9, where you're reading about safety and risk management. Like, what do you do in a lightning within 5? What would you do? And just reading that, just stay familiar with it. Because people are going to ask you, hey, what are you reading? I'm just reading chapter 9, risk management, just to make sure I know what I need to do in case, lightning within 5, then I have to transit. Who does what? And so when people see that, they go, oh, wow. Oh, wow. And then when your flight sees you studying, it's encouraging because they have to do that in tech school. All right, finally, I want to leave you with, when I usually say final, it's probably not the final one. So finally, I want to leave you with this. No regrets. Make all your failures worth it, because you learn a lot through when you don't do well. Leave no stone unturned. Give it everything you have. I know it's good to relax. I know it's good just to sit back and go, you're in class all day. This is great. And I would encourage you to take that time, but make sure also when you're resting, you also take that time to help you rest in those regulations and those things that you need to know, so that when the time comes for you to perform, you've already prepared. You're excited about being evaluated. I remember when I would get hit for control, they'd be like, hey, Sergeant Linder, you're getting hit for control. I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Hey, flight, we about to dance outside. Let's go. And what I mean by dancing is that when it's time to do a certain drill movement, it's like a routine. Like, everybody has their part. And normally when I do, control in front of stand team, they're like, dag, that looks so good. Your flight knows what they're doing. I can tell that the flight has been very well trained and you've practiced with them. And I'd be like, absolutely. Absolutely. Because when they see you, I know that sometimes you don't do control with your flight, which I think is absolutely stupid, because you can't tell that an instructor knows what they're doing based on a flight that sucks. You can't catch everything. But if they would only do it in a 4th week, 5th week of training, 6th, 7th week of training, flight, and that flight smokes it, bingo, man, this is a really good instructor. Man, he needs to be a trainer. Oh, he needs to be a blue rope. I wish that they would do that, because we're always judged by our trainees for MTIR. We're always judged by application, how our flight does. You know, in drill, in dorm. You know, it'd be great if control was the same thing. You know, squadron commanders are judged off their people and how they perform the mission. Why not control? I don't know. Anyways, off my soapbox. We talked about holding yourself accountable. We talked about different ways of holding yourself accountable and staying ready. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So just staying ready. All right. God bless. Take care. Until next time.